Da 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 dun da 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 dun da 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 dun da da. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Purple Wheels is Watching. First movie I want to recommend is called Frankie and Alice, and it was directed by Jeffrey Sachs and came out in 2010. This movie is available for free on Tubi TV, and it's inspired by a true story. It's inspired by a true story of a 70s go-go dancer with multiple personality disorder. She begins seeing a psychotherapist in an attempt to regain stability. The reason why I recommended this movie is because I think it's time that we start breaking the stigma of mental illness or mental health, checking on our mental health in the Black community, because everyone, not just Black people, should be aware and take care of their mental health. But Black people more than ever now, because of the threat that is prevalent in today's society. So please feel free to check out Frankie and Alice, available for free on Tubi TV. So the next movie is called The Secret of Roan Inish, and it's directed by John Sayles. And one of the quotes from the movie says, "They say the only true wealth is land." And so I feel like it's always good to see a different way of life so that you'll appreciate what you have. The Secret of Roan Inish is based on a novel by the name of Secret of the Ron Moore Scary by Rosalie K. Fry. It was released February 3rd, 1995. 1995 was a good year. In this movie, the characters are rich, and it gives a humble account of true living and living off of the land, or off the grid, if you will. And you'll hear about tall tales concerning the majestic and magical seals of Roan Inish. And you'll also be intrigued by the mature performance of actress Jenny Courtney, who plays the role of Fiona, who is one of two children in the movie who helped to move the story along. The children really run this movie, and it's available for free on YouTube. I wanted to say something about true living. I used to live in, I lived in DC for 10 years, but shout out to DC and Black Lives Matter. But I also lived in Sea Pleasant, Maryland for a short time, and when I came upon the place, the couple that was putting it up, for rent. For one, they weren't doing it legally, and and for two, in the ad it said that people had to be okay with the place as is. So I was like, young and not really knowing. I just know that I needed to get back so that I could finish up at Howard. And so when I got to the place, I saw that, hey, there's no kitchen sink here. Hey, and there's no hot water, and it's January. And so the guy was like, "Oh, you young people need to learn about true living, true living." I guess he's from down south, but still, people down south have hot water and they have kitchen sinks. So I don't know. That was an interesting experience, and it was anything but pleasant in Sea Pleasant, Maryland. So the next movie I want to recommend is called Presence of Mind. Presence of Mind came out in September of 1999. It's a thriller and a drama adapted from The Turn of the Screw. It was directed by Anthony Alloy, and it had a $3 million budget. Now, I know you might say $3 million. Who spends $3 million on a movie? Well, it's not just any movie, and it's reflected in, the costumes. There's so much intricate detail that goes into it. You just have to respect that $3 million. Okay, yeah. When you see it, you'll understand what I mean. But this movie, Presence of Mind, reminds me of Midsummer, if you saw that movie, because you go in thinking one thing, and then it twists on you, changes on you. Another It's another movie based on age-old secrets, and the ways and norms of the family are filled with wonder. So it's starring Sadie Frost, but there's great performances from the children once again. And this movie is available for free on Tubi, tubitv.com. The next movie I want to recommend is called Before We Go. This is a romantic film. You know, don't shy away from it. We all need more love in our lives, especially nowadays. This movie is available for free on YouTube. And Before We Go is all about a chance encounter between strangers in the Grand Central Terminal in New York City. Love New York City. And this movie is directed by Chris Evans, and it was released September 10th, 2015. I know everyone has experienced this, where we are a lot more honest and with strangers than people we know. Why? Because we feel like, oh, I'm never going to see this person again. Why not? So they didn't expect for an encounter with the stranger to turn into something unexpected. Okay, the next film we have, film number 5, is called The Age of Adaline, which was released April 24th, favorite number 24, number 2015, and it's directed by Lee Todlin Krager. So, The Age of Adaline reminded me of Benjamin Button. We all know that film with Brad Pitt and Taraji P. Henson. This movie, The Age of Adaline, what makes it different is that this movie mixes chance encounters with secrets, love, and passion. Adeline Bowman has no problem maintaining her youth. She's 29 years old in the movie, but what she has a problem with is growing old. I know a lot of us wish we had that problem, huh? So yeah, feel free to check out The Age of Adeline, which is available for free on YouTube. And the last movie, last but not least, is called Rob the Mob, believe it or not. Rob the Mob was released March 21st, 2014. It's directed by Raymond D. Falita, and it's available for free on YouTube. And what I want to say is the balls of these guys. Two lovers. Yeah, it makes sense that only love would make somebody do something this risky like robbing the mob. Like, really? Who do they think they are? You know, forget about it. They discover something major which pretty much gives them leverage and validates their assertive approach and giving them the balls to try and rob the mob, okay? And the funny thing to me is I'm just watching this movie, okay, yeah, this is cool. Whoever came up with this, you know, they have a vivid imagination, but not even knowing that at the end it says, based on a true story. So I'm like, wow, the balls of these guys. So, those are all the movies for this episode. And now I'm going to get into some film news. What we're noticing is that everything is starting to open back up, including the movie theaters. So still people are like Tom Hanks, who was supposed to release Bio, says he's going to delay the release in theaters until spring 2021. Godzilla vs. Kong shifts to 2021. Matrix 4, which moves nearly a year to 2022. Warner Bros. Announced a number of high-profile changes to its release calendar on Thursday. And Wonder Woman 1984 moves from summer to October. Also, DGA, Directors Guild of America, etc. Teamsters release joint safety report. COVID-19 testing is the cornerstone of the plan, with actors expected to be tested at least 3 times a week during production. This is another story. Black writers challenge studios to commit to change. Hollywood, what you do next is paramount. The WGAW Committee of Black Writers penned an open letter to Hollywood on Friday calling for the industry to abolish practices of only hiring from exclusive lists of demanding systematic change. Following the many statements from studios about supporting Black voices, the writers felt it was their duty as peers to respond. In the letter, they noted, "We are grieving, we are angry, and we are unapologetically demanding systematic change." They continued by emphasizing, "It is not just the future of our industry or our livelihood as writers, but our very lives as Black Americans that depend on you listening thoughtfully to what we have to say in response." The writers called the current social and political scene in this country a reckoning, going on to acknowledge how the COVID-19 pandemic has left millions unemployed and uninsured, especially Black Americans. This pandemic has been a somber backdrop for recent protests honoring George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and other Black people murdered in this country by state-sanctioned violence and racist discrimination. They referenced the statements of many TV networks about their commitment to empowering Black voices in entertainment, noting that they will base the validity of these statements on how they go about enacting new policies. The writers also spoke about Black writers in Hollywood who have made it but are still underpaid, denied jobs, and rejected from writers' rooms for lack of experience. We need to revolutionize the way our industry hires writers. When companies and studios claim to champion diversity but refuse to prioritize hiring Black writers for a writer's room or contribute to Black narratives, you are perpetuating a system that either exploits or excludes Black experience and perspective. Not only are you discounting the impact of Black voices to authenticate the narrative you're putting into the world, but you're telling us, your peers, that our impact is not important or valuable to the work that this industry produces. The writers ask that studios abolish practices of only hiring writers from exclusive lists and expand their circle. If they don't know any Black writers, Hollywood, what you do next is paramount. As the most powerful entertainment industry in the world, we challenge you, the powers that be, those individuals with unmistakable privilege, the elite executives who gave the okay on those statements to begin instituting real systematic change.